All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Beyond the Diamond podcast. I'm your host, Rob Duran Sports. I want to thank you guys for joining me again today. And I'm excited for today's podcast because I got a great guest with a great story. Dennis Torres, former pitcher for the Baltimore Orioles. How you doing, Dennis? How's it going, man?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. And yourself?
I'm doing well, man. So baseball is close to wrapping up. We're
Yep.
about to head into the World Series, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But I'm really excited for what we have going on today because I want to know more about your story and just give you the opportunity to kind of tell that story and your journey and stuff like that as it comes to Major League Baseball or baseball in general.
Well, first and foremost, I just want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to vocalize my experience and get it out there, So I just want to say thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you on, man. Thank you for taking the time to do this.
Absolutely. Anytime. Like I said earlier, any chance I get to talk sports, baseball especially, I'm in. Not to mention I'm talking about, myself. So it shouldn't be too hard. I kind of know myself pretty well.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about basically your journey.
I mean, where should I start? Where would you like for me to start? Let's put it that way.
I guess we can start. We'll start at the beginning. When things kind of hit the highway for you, I guess we can say.
Okay. Well, I'm not too sure if you're familiar with my experience with high school, but I never got the chance to play high school ball. I was actually cut all 4 years.
Wow.
And it was a crazy experience, very emotional. I'll just leave it at that, emotional.
Yeah,
the fact that I love this sport so much, and I was deprived of the opportunity, to showcase my talents. So my story is pretty wild in that, the aspect that I've never played high school ball, and I went to UMass with no intentions of playing baseball, not a single intention, mind you. Like I said, I've never played high school ball. Who do I think I am, trying to go play ball at a school with no resume, right?
Yeah.
Think about it. That's what an average person would see from the outside. I'd be crazy if I told someone I was going to go play college, Division I baseball. They'd look at my face and laugh at me, But I went to UMass my freshman year. I had a great time. I was very fortunate enough to be in their business school as an accounting major. And like I said, full intentions on going to UMass to be a student. My goal was to get my degree. And believe it or not, after my first year at UMass, I was going into my last. So mind you, I didn't play high school ball. I still played summer ball. I've been playing baseball for a very long time, since the age of 5. I was a multi-sport athlete, played baseball, football, basketball. But further in my career, I stuck with baseball. And after my first year at UMass, I was heading into my last year of Legion baseball. And for me, that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
Wow, my last year of Legion baseball. And I had a conversation with my pops, and he's like, wow, I'm not going to be able to get a chance to see you play anymore. And I said, yeah, I kind of struck home, when we're having a good time. And it's somewhat mid-August, I want to say 2009. And he, I don't know what got into him, but he persuaded, well, I wouldn't say persuaded me, but he asked me if I wanted to try out for the UMass baseball team. And I looked at him like he was crazy. I said, Pop, what are you, crazy? He goes, just a thought. You got nothing to lose. And he left it at that.
Yeah.
Left it at that. And I said, what? I thought about it. And I ended up going to Puerto Rico on vacation. And, I thought about it. And I said, you know what? I have nothing to lose in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
I got nothing to lose. What's the worst that can happen? I get, I try out, I get cut. What? I go back to being a regular student. I have no problem with that. I'm totally fine. That's what I signed up for, But I said, hey, why not? Mind you, mid-August, school's starting in about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And, I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to give it a shot. Mind you, played a little bit of Legion baseball, 20 game, 25 game, 23 game schedule. So, I wasn't really, getting a chance to play often. I had an internship in Boston that summer. So, I was pitching once a week, twice a week, if. you know. So I go to UMass, like I said, with 2 weeks of baseball training, if you want to call it. And I was fortunate enough to have a buddy of mine who was also trying out from Andover, Mass. Kid I knew growing up, and we crossed paths. And he was also trying out. I said, you know what? Let's get after it. And
Yeah.
usually Division I athletes who play sports enroll in school earlier than sometimes the general population.
Yeah.
So when I showed up to, that fall, I showed up to campus, and I had missed the first day of tryouts.
Oh,
And I
man.
showed up to the coach's office, and he goes, all right, you want to try out today? And mind you, it was about 9, 10 in the morning. Nah, we'll say about 8. Yeah, 9 in the morning. He goes, you need to have all this paperwork done by 2 p.m.
Wow.
I walked out of that office, and I called my mom. I said, Mom, I need my, health immune, my shots, I needed all that paperwork and all those applications, my insurance forms and all that.
Yeah.
And, I got to give a lot of credit to my mom for getting it ready for me in a matter of hours. And I came back to the office, had it done. He said, all right, I'll see you at 2 o'clock.
Wow.
And tried out. And it was, like I said, it was a 3-day tryout. So I had missed the first day. And, go up to the coach. He goes, what do you want to try out? What position? I go, coach, I have a really strong arm. That's my best asset. I think it would be best for me to be a pitcher. He goes, okay, what else do you play? I've played some third base in my life. I've caught. But, I had the mindset of just going there to try to be a pitcher.
Yeah.
And so that fall, eventually, I passed, those 3 days of tryouts. They
Yeah.
saw me off the mound. They saw me a little at third, a little at first, a couple ABs. And I guess they saw something in me. And, I got to be grateful to Mike Stone and Coach Mike Sweeney at UMass for giving me a chance. Because, I don't get that opportunity. I don't think me and you would be having this conversation right now. It's a fact. We wouldn't be having this
Yeah.
conversation right now. So,
That's awesome.
yeah, so fall 2009. And, yeah, like I said, the rest is history. That pretty much kick-started my career.
That's awesome, because to not have played high school ball, and Division I is, for those that don't know, the top division in collegiate sports. So to be able to not play high school ball and just go in there and, like you said, with nothing to lose, and just do what you did. You showed off your talent, showed off the potential, and the coaches to see that. That's impressive, man.
Thank you.
That's super impressive.
Looking back, sometimes I couldn't believe I had the audacity to make it happen. Sometimes I look back and I got to pat myself in the, because like I said, if I would have tell anybody, I was going to try out, they look at me like I was crazy. Kid's got no shot. Never played high school ball. No way, but.
Yeah. No, and that's awesome, especially for like the young kids coming up who maybe don't have the opportunity to play high school ball or anything like that. To know that, because you don't play high school, that's not the end of it. That there is
exactly
there is a chance, and as long as you're willing to work hard, like you were willing to put in the work to get to where you are. That's awesome, man.
Thank you.
That's awesome. So, what's the experience like after college?
So, I got drafted in the 28th round in 2012, excuse me, 28th round, pick 852. And, it was a life-changing moment. It was amazing. It was amazing. But believe it or not, my professional career got off to a rocky start in the fact that I got hurt my first professional game.
Man.
Which was kind of heartbreaking in a sense. My first professional game in rookie ball felt great. I come to find out after and it's funny because I pitched in 2 games. So pitched in a game, 2 innings scoreless, great professional career. And the Gulf Coast League,
yeah,
against the Tampa Bay Rays. Never gonna forget it. And made an appearance 2 days later, knowing that I was in pain. I didn't know quite what to say. Long story short, I come to find out I partially tore my UCL.
Yeah.
Tough.
Yeah.
Tough hit. It was a tough hit. So, I was shut down for, had I been a first round pick, I would have gotten surgery, boom, right there, and boom, start your rehab. But I wasn't fortunate enough to be, a lot of people don't understand the business aspect to baseball. Granted, we're human beings, but in a sense, we're a tangible asset.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's, a product, so to speak. And they make these decisions, based, if and it makes sense. Me being a businessman, I understand. I don't take it personal. It is what it is. I'm a 28th round pick. Wasn't a big financial investment. You got someone else who they gave $3 million in the first round. They're gonna take care of him and give him every ample opportunity. They're gonna, I get it. It's
Yeah.
understandable. You know what I mean?
Which makes sense. And some people,
Absolutely.
and some people don't realize the business side of baseball. So
Correct.
I'm glad you're touching on that.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And sometimes a lot of the players don't even understand that. So,
Exactly.
sometimes you can get worked up in something you have no control over. You know what I mean? And the quicker you can learn that, I think the better off you're gonna do, not just in baseball, but in life.
Exactly.
And I can go off on a tangent on all the life lessons I've learned in baseball.
Yeah.
Straight up, I'll keep it 100. You know what I mean? And it's kind of, thinking back and just thinking of them, it's like, wow. That's why I'm a big proponent to advocate for sports. There's a lot of intangibles you learn through the experience. You know what I mean? That these are some assets and qualities that you can take with you in any career you may have. You know what I mean? Most athletes are very successful because they're a lot of hardworking people. They like to grind. They love that uphill battle. You know what I mean? Which sports is, and in this business, once again, people tend to forget that, but professional sports is a business.
Yes, it is.
So, I was, in my opinion, not caught up in that. So I wasn't. So like I said, I partially tore my UCL, and it was devastating. It was devastating. I was coming off a great year. My last year at UMass, had a great year. Ended up getting drafted, and going into pro sports and getting hurt your first outing. And I was still throwing 92, 93, 94, great.
Yeah.
But so that was just fuel to the fire, man. That was fuel to the fire. So that was the summer of 2012, 2013. I come back and, they shut me down throughout the past summer. So that fall, that first off season, I was still enrolled at UMass. So I ended up going back to UMass once again as only just a student. We would call them NARPs, non-athletic regular people, which is kind of funny. But it was a great experience, and I was actually fortunate enough to have the trainer there at UMass, Alicia Caswell, take care of me. I wasn't on the team. She had no obligation, and she was still training and doing her, her job, but she still took time out of her day. So I got to thank her. And we got after it that fall. Got after it. And I came back strong.
Wow.
I came back strong. I really did. I came back strong, and just thinking back of it, I kind of got to be proud a little bit. I came back in 2013, and I was kind of held back because I wasn't on the same schedule with everybody else coming into spring training.
Yeah.
I was kind of, they had me on they were easing me in. So, the season started and I was still in Florida and extended spring training. And I mean, it was okay with that. It was, I had no problem. Some kids get frustrated because once the season breaks, everyone wants to break with a team.
Oh, yeah.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
You go to spring training with the goal to break with a squad. You want to go, spring training, people don't realize it's very short time. It's 28 days, 29 days with a lot of baseball.
Yeah.
You got to come ready to play, spring training, especially in the minors. There's a big difference between, people don't understand that once again. So let me help clarify that, right? Minor league spring training, you're fighting to make a team. You're fighting to have a job. You're not here. There's nothing guaranteed in minor league baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Neither in the majors, but when you have those big league contracts,
oh yeah,
spring training is kind of just an ease into the season. For us, it's the kind of complete opposite. We got to come ready to go, ready to compete and fight for a job. So that first, my first spring training, I was kind of upset because I was kind of behind the 8 ball. But to me, that was more fuel to the fire, and I had no problem. It got me, a chance to soak it all in. My first spring training, being around some unbelievable people. You know, it was amazing. You know, that was the big thing I really enjoyed about playing professional baseball. You know, I was at UMass where I'm playing with guys from just kind of Massachusetts to New England area. We
Yeah.
get to travel, but you know, once you get to pro ball, you're playing with guys from all over.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking Japan, all over the Caribbean, Puerto Rico, Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. We're talking Australia, some Chinese ball players. You know, the Orioles even had a Chinese ball player, which, you know, was awesome. You know, we all learned all types of things from each other. You know, ball players from Germany, Italy. You know, so it was a very, 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 very cool experience in that aspect. So once again, let me get back. Sometimes, like, you know, I tend
No,
to
that's
come
fine.
off
That's
track a
fine,
little
man.
bit. But so 2013, like I said, I was a little delayed, but I used all that time to my advantage. You know, I took advantage of every single day. I really got after it. And 2013 was an unbelievable season for me. You know, I got off to a little rough start when I got the call mid-May that I was going to go up to. I got the call up to A-ball. You know, welcome to the, you know, at that point, the show.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
of course.
Actually playing in front of fans. You know, you look up some nights we'll have, excuse me, 7,000. We'll be in Greensboro, North Carolina, 11,000 fans. You know, that's what you live for.
Oh yeah,
You
I
know,
bet.
7 o'clock, that's what you live for. You know, it puts things in perspective. You know, so I get called up, and at first I was a little, you know, looking back and looking at my numbers that year. I walked a lot of people, too many freebies. Too many freebies. You know, I wasn't really getting hit hard, but walk one guy, walk another, one single, that's a run.
Yeah.
And, you know, I forget, and I failed to mention, I was always a starter at UMass.
Okay.
I get to pro ball, that wasn't the case, especially after I got hurt. They weren't going to put all that stress and make me a starter at that point. You know, they dedicated me, you know, like that first year as well, they kind of capped my innings limit, and I was kind of on a scheduled program, which was great because
Yeah.
I got a chance to get into a little routine, you know, especially in low minors. You know, you have to get acclimated. You don't realize how tough it is playing 142 games. You know, the big league's 162.
Yeah.
You know, we played 140, you know, playoffs, maybe 150, playing a lot of games. You know, it's a big jump for someone in college playing 50, 60. Imagine those in high school, 20,
Yeah.
25. You know, they'll be lucky if they play 30. You know, it's a big jump and it's a big transition, not just mentally, but physically. You know, that's the first battle, physically.
Oh yeah.
You know, can you handle the task, the load physically? You know, once you kind of master that, now mentally, you know, this game of baseball is one of the toughest games. And I'll tell people, and a lot of people don't understand, baseball, you can do everything right, every aspect right, and still fail. Mind blowing. That's, to me,
Yeah.
like, and you talking about it, mind blowing, right? Because if we
And
talk football,
that's kind of like the beauty of the sport at the same time too. It's like the gift and the
absolutely,
curse of it.
that's the best way to put it. Oh, I love it. You know what I mean? And you know, it separates the boys from the men very
Yeah.
quickly. You know, like,
Yeah.
it's mind blowing to me because when you get to spring training, you're everyone kind of sizes everybody up physically. You know, you kind of want to seize your, you know, because, like, once again, you make great friendships and whatnot, but in the grand scheme of things, you're not there to make friends.
You're
The
battling.
guy
Yeah.
to my left and the guy to my right, as close as we are, that's my competition.
Yeah.
You know, so it's kind of mind blowing. You know, you're around guys you're competing with, but you know, it's amazing. You know, that phenom is kind of cool. You know what I mean? It's kind of, you know, you kind of have to embrace it at that point because you can't change it. That's always going to be the way it is in the minors. You know, it's kind of
Yeah.
a tough. Um. So back on the train. So 2013, I finished that season. Like I said, I kind of gave away too many freebies, and I finished the season off pretty strong. You know, I ended up with an ERA 3.5, maybe a little on the four, if I'm correct. I mean, I haven't looked at my stats in quite a bit, to be honest, but I mean, that's all in the back of my head. You kind of remember. So, you know, having that first year under my belt and the way it finished strong. And the momentum just kind of took off into 2014. You know, and believe it or not, 2014 was another mental roller coaster in itself. And I'm going to tell you this once again, in my opinion, business, you get caught, you get the shit end of the stick. Excuse my language. we get to, spring training 2014, and believe it or not, I had an unbelievable spring training. Unbelievable. End of spring training, I'm going back to A-ball, livid, and I'm upset. Why? Because I know I performed better than him. I'm looking at rosters and everybody, and to me, but once again, I can't control those things.
Yeah.
These guys are going these places. When you're a big league, when you're a big investment, they kind of put you on the track to the big leagues. They kind of pave the way for you, so to speak. Okay, they draft a guy out of high school. Okay, and mind you, every organization game plan's completely different. That's another kind of mind-blowing phenomena to the whole situation. And once again, it's a business. Every business owner is entitled to operate how he deems appropriate. Think about, once again, it's tough when you got big market teams, small market teams. For example, Oakland A's, New York Yankees. Think about the whole Moneyball thing. That was crazy. You kind of have to use you got to work with what you got.
Exactly.
They did a great job. But 2014 spring training, I killed it. Go to A-ball, but it was kind of a blessing in disguise. And I'm going to say that because that year I met some phenomenal people, and not only did I meet some phenomenal people, I played against some phenomenal people. And when I say that, I'm a big Yankee fan.
Same here.
My man.
Huge Yankee fan.
Hey, let's go. I'm a diehard Yankee fan. Grew up in Lawrence, Massachusetts, outside of Boston, and got drafted by the Orioles. How crazy is that, right? So
that's awesome.
2014, the Yankees are loaded. They got Aaron Judge. They got Luis Severino. They had Gary Sanchez. They were stacked. And, we got a chance. I was in that league. The Sox, equally as stacked. They had Yohan Moncada. They had, Benintendi was 2015. Jansen Whitty. The Sox had some, they had some talent.
Yeah.
And these are some of the teams we would frequently play. So, I was already motivated. I said, what, this is going to be, mind you, I got to play alongside some guys that I'm still close with today. One of my good friends, Jimmy Yacobonis, who's still in the big leagues doing his thing. And it's funny because we played against each other in college. So I had known him, so we were both relievers. I was the 8, he was the closer.
Yeah, that's cool.
I was the 8th inning guy, he was the 9th inning guy. And at the All-Star break, a group of us, maybe 4 or 5 of us, get called up, to high A at this point. Mind you, 2014 was a tough season mentally for me because I was doing well, but I wasn't getting the opportunity. I was getting, fed up. And I say this because I remember having a good conversation with a friend of mine, Jamie Adamas, and I'm very grateful for having this conversation with him because he kind of put things in perspective for me. And I was at the point where I just wanted to hang it up. I go, Jamie, what more can I do? I'm competing with these guys. I'm showing these guys I belong. There was no doubt in my mind I belonged, but it was kind of getting to the point where, damn, so-and-so's moving up. So-and-so's getting a shot. When's my shot? And I had a conversation with him, and after that I said, you know what? I'm already here. I'm going to keep giving it all I got. I'm going to keep, people don't understand. You make no money in the minor leagues. It's borderline, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's graceful. If you do the numbers, we make below minimum wage, but legally, they pay for a lot of our travel and our lodging, and I get it, but you don't make a lot of money.
And that was a big thing, especially, and we'll talk about it a little bit later too. The big stuff going on this year with the where they lost their season and all that.
Trust me, that's been it's being exposed now, but that's been in the works since I was playing. Trust me, we'll talk about that. Ooh, I'm glad you brought that up because I have some decent insight on that for you. So I get to the point where I'm just so fed up, and like I said, I put my head down and I kept working. I get called up to high A, and boom, when I tell you I had an unbelievable second half, and I got to play in the Carolina League. 8 teams in that league, right? You think about it, you're like 142, 140 games. You're playing against 7 other teams. You're gonna play a lot of these guys over and over and over and over. And it's just like they know you know them just as much.
Yeah.
They know your flaws, you know theirs, but it's a gift and a curse, just
That's
like
right.
you had mentioned earlier, right? You think about it, and a lot of guys will get frustrated, right? But think about it, as a pitcher, I'm in control. I have that ball. Regardless of, he knows what I throw, I still have the upper hand, in my opinion. And when I was out there, I had a line mentality, outside those lines, I was a clown, having a good time with the boys. But once you get that ball and, that phone call comes into the bullpen and your name gets called and, you're in between those lines, I was a lion. Anybody who stepped on that in that batter's box was trying to take away my money.
Yeah.
He was trying to take away my money. That was the mindset I had. This guy's trying to take away an opportunity for me to, potentially set up for myself in the future, my family, whatever the case. But that was the mentality I had. I was a lion. And it worked to my advantage, So, like I said, you're playing all these guys over and over. You get to learn how to pitch. Okay. And are you a fan of Clint Frazier?
Oh, of course.
Clint Frazier, first round pick for the Braves. Unbelievable kid. He's been traded a couple of times, and it's funny because Clint Frazier doesn't fit the projectables, from a scouting perspective. He's not big, he's not jacked, has a cannon of an arm. He's not the best defensive player, but when I tell you he hits that ball on his bat speed, he's the real deal.
Yeah.
And people look at his numbers sometimes, and I got to give him credit because he's never had the opportunity to be an everyday player. And in my opinion, to get in your groove, you need to find that confidence, that swagger, that moxie, to give you a chance to perform. When you're playing every 4 days, it's tough. Not many guys can do that. Those who can, in my opinion, are savages.
Yeah,
mentally tough people.
I'm glad you bring that up because a lot of fans, casual fans and stuff like that will criticize players. Well, you got the opportunity to pinch hit. Well, how come you didn't get a hit?
And it's funny because I'm glad you brought that up. As I'm very fortunate that I got the opportunity to play. But I'm on social media, and fans. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion, right? But it's all perspective. These people don't understand, the behind the scenes, the realities of it. They just see the numbers.
Yep.
They just see, what's on the media, but they don't really understand what's going on behind the scenes and all these factors that make up these numbers. And like I said, baseball, you can do everything right. You can go up there, hit 4-line drives at somebody. What's that? That's 4 outs. You went 0 for 4. On paper, it looks like you had a terrible day, right?
Yeah.
A fan looks, so-and-so, boom. But little does he know, he squared up 4 balls. Paper won't tell you that, so it is what it is. That's something that's never going to change, especially now with all this media. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion.
Yeah.
So it is tough. Sometimes I kind of bite my tongue and they'll say things because sometimes, they'll never understand, so there's no point. You jump in a pig pen with a bunch of pigs, you become a pig.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So to speak. But anyway, so back to 2014. And so, Clint Frazier, one of these guys I had to face over and over and over. And you know what? I owned Frazier. I owned him. He couldn't hit my 2-seam. He could not hit my 2. And you know what? Great kid. We talk after the game. Kid from Georgia. Real good dude. But I had to learn to expose. It's funny. People don't realize we show up to parks every series. There's a thick scouting report, right? Every play. I mean, it's unbelievable. Do I believe a lot of that stuff? No. But the fact that information is available, great, right? So every series, and I didn't start doing this until I got to pro ball, right? I would, take, to be honest, and I still do, and I would still preach this to any, coach, any player, always pitch or play to your strengths.
Yeah.
Always. And that was, the cool phenomenon in pro ball. You see a lot of guys with different skill sets. They bring a lot of different things to the table. You'd have a sidearmer specialist, you have knuckleballers, you have guys who come in and bring the heat, and it's pretty cool. You have to pitch to your advantage, to your strengths.
Yeah.
And once I realized that in 2014 and I started exploiting people's weaknesses and, it made my life easier. You know, I went through a stint relief where I went 5 innings on 43 pitches or 44 pitches. It was absurd. You know, oh, this guy's super aggressive. Okay, I'm gonna throw this two seam right over the plate, let it ride down, ground ball. Thank you. One pitch, one out. You know, my favorite was coming in with a guy on first, relief. All I was throwing was two seams.
Double plays.
Boom, get me a double play. And you know what? Once I learned that, you know, some guys, you want to be efficient. Once again, 140 games. You can't go out there and think you're gonna try to throw 100 miles an hour, even if you can, every single game.
Exactly.
You know, some guys are rare and can do it, yes. But, you know, if you have that mindset, statistics don't lie, you know, you will break down. You know, once I learned that in 2014, like I said, I really had to evolve as a pitcher because you're facing these guys over and over. You know, it's to the point where, okay, sink or swim. I'm swimming.
Yeah.
You know, I had to figure out how to pitch.
Yeah.
You know, I had to really, okay, this guy doesn't like this pitch. I'm gonna hammer that low and outside corner until he proves to me that he can hit it. I don't have to try to blow it by him. You know, and I'd get to fields before the game and I'd go out there and watch the opposing BP. Let me see what this guy's habits are. Let me see. This guy's a pull hitter. Okay. Ooh, this guy can take you deep. This guy's a slap hitter, you know? And once again, I was always going to pitch to my strengths regardless. And I tell people, always pitch or play to your strengths. But you'd be a fool, in my opinion, to disregard this valuable information that will help you become a better player, a better person. And once I kind of learned that, it was kind of like, okay, I'm giving me the best opportunity possible. But 2014, great season. Like I said, I was in the Carolina League. Once again, 2015 comes around, 2015 spring training, and 2015 was blessing and a curse, a great and terrible season at the same time. And kind of started the demise of my career in that aspect. And it was kind of, it is what it is. I'll get into it, but I come into 2015 hungry as ever. I get to spring training, phenomenal spring training. I come in great shape. I started doing yoga. I was in the best physical shape of my life at that point. Best physical shape. You know, I got to thank the Mahoney family, a family I was very fortunate enough to stay with, a host family I met via baseball.
Wow.
When I was playing for a college league, I was fortunate enough to stay with them in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, Rye, New Hampshire, and I was exposed to, you know, a variety of, you know, different lifestyles from eating to working out. And like I said, super prepared for 2015. Come in. That spring training, I get called up to a couple big league spring training games. Wow. As a backup, of course. But for me at that time, I'm in the dugout with Buck Showalter, Manny Machado, you know, Adam Jones, you know, we're talking all the heavy hitters.
Yeah.
You know, and
real,
you know, at the time I was
stars,
just like, ooh, it's, you know, and you know, I got to back up a couple games and I get to go to Disney World. We went to go play against the A's. I went to Port Charlotte for the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. Kind of mad I didn't get a chance to go to Tampa against the Yankees, but went to Fort Myers against the Twins.
Yeah.
All big league, you know, to back up. But amazing opportunities. You know that all attests to the hard work I was putting in, right? Okay. Super excited. 2015 starts. Where am I going? Back to high A. Extremely frustrated. Okay. If anyone's going to overcome this, it's me. That was the mentality I had. Okay. Great. Got off to an unbelievable start. I had like a 1.15 ERA. I was the closer at that point. Luis Pujols, Albert Pujols' uncle, was my manager. Louis Pujols, a Dominican. Me and him were tight, man. We hit it off. Cool dude. And he believed in me a lot that year. You know, he was like, "You're gonna be my closer," and I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready. Say less." All I said was, "Say less. Give me the ball." And I was only there for about 6 weeks, and then I got the call to AA. Wow. You know, I got the call, and you know, people don't realize once you get to AA, that's big league talent. Yeah. You know, playing in, you know, low A, high A, great baseball. Don't get me wrong, professional, great baseball. But once you get to AA, you're playing with guys who have big league experience.
Yeah.
we're talking, big league time. So I was like, okay, once again, I get up there and played about 5 weeks there, and I was a setup man. Did great, unbelievable, and I mean, a blessing in disguise until I made one of the biggest mistakes. Well, I get called up. Believe it or not, my first trip is back home. For the first time in my life, I'm playing professional baseball in my home state, which was amazing. I'll get the call. We're playing the New Hampshire Fisher Cats and the Portland Sea Dogs.
Wow.
It couldn't have been scripted any better. Like I'm telling you, I get called up to AA, went to Bowie, Maryland, which was our affiliate outside of Baltimore and right next to Annapolis. And it was great. Wow. There for 3 days and boom, I'm going home. Wow. I get to see my family. I get to play in front of my family, my friends. I mean, just thinking about it gives me the goosebumps because that's how I felt at the time. I was like, wow, for the first time, I'm actually getting a chance to do what I love in front of my family. It was, long story short, I come home Thursday night. I ended up going out with a lot of my buddies and whatnot. We had a good time, too good of a time. And I smoked some weed and I ended up failing the drug test. I ended up, it was tough. It was tough. So I pitched in Portland and I was, my family didn't know at the time, but I got drug tested before the game. And I actually ended up pitching that day. And man, I was a wreck. I was a mental wreck. And believe it or not, it wasn't a terrible outing. I came in, once again, I was a setup man.
Yeah.
Close game, gave up a walk, strikeout, and ended the inning. Great. Next guy, walked him, got yanked. Wasn't a terrible outing, but once you get to AA, you're not focused on player development as much. Yeah. Now you're getting close to the show. Now you got to win ball games.
Yeah.
People don't realize in the minors, the first lower levels, you're focused on player development. Some organizations, in my opinion, do it better than others. Different approaches. Okay, so be it. But once you get to AA, AAA, okay, we're here to win ball games.
Yeah.
Coaches play to win ball games. They're not leaving guys out there because, so-and-so needs to get his 2 innings in because that's what the player development manager wants him to do or the director, So real baseball. So like I said, it wasn't a terrible outing, but I was just a mental wreck. I wasn't focused, and throughout the process, I mean, I have to thank everybody who supported me. I mean? And it's tough because in the grand scheme of things, the way I look at it, and yeah, I blame myself because I knew I shouldn't have been doing it, but I did it anyways. I've been doing it my whole life. I still do. I'm not going to sit here and shy about it. It's something that some people like to drink. I was a smoker, and that didn't undermine the effort and all the hard work I put on the baseball field. That's what bothered me, because I busted my ass to get where I was from a, athletic standpoint, and to let one bad decision, like I said, I was smoking. Bad decisions take me away from what I was doing, And I got to give thanks to the Orioles organization, my agent, Brian Charles, my family, and all my, they supported me throughout the process. They said, all right, you're going to go down to Florida, serve your 50-game suspension. Once you come back, we're ready to rock. And, it was kind of unfortunate. I go down to Florida for 50 games, wasn't getting paid. Terrible. But once again, decision I made. Now I got to pay the consequences, right? But I come back and there's about a month left of the season. And, I'm talking to my agent. The O's really haven't said nothing to me. So I'm just pretty much down in Florida just working out. And, eventually they sent me to A-ball and they said, you're going to be a starter. I look at it and I said, starter? Okay. Once again, was I ready to be a starter? Absolutely not. I was in Florida working out from 1 inning, doing what I was. But once again, product of the business. They needed, someone got hurt in low A. You want to play? Here's your opportunity. You got to start. Mind you, right? They're not going to take me away. They're not going to take away. Think about it, right? Like I said, low A, high A, player development. They already have guys that they want to develop. They don't want to mess anything up, but they got a hole here. Dennis, can you fill that hole? Absolutely, I'm going to fill that hole. Was I ready to start? No. I get there and the coach goes, can you get 5 innings out of you today? I look at him like, nah, but you know what? I'm gonna give you everything. I think I ended up going 3 2/3, but I gave him every percent. I gave him, 120% of, the 80% or whatever it was at the time that I had.
Yeah.
I went out there and I battled, and he was proud of me, and I was proud of myself. But my arm was hanging. Terrible, right? Terrible, terrible. And I was there for 3 starts, and then I started the last possible game of the AA season. So I have 3 games in A-ball. Then I got the call up to AA. Mind you, we were having a phenomenal AA season. Phenomenal. We ended up winning the championship, which is
Wow.
great.
Yeah.
So I get up to AA. Boom. Okay, I'm back. I start that last game of the season. It was a terrible, 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 terrible outing. Terrible. It's funny because last game of the season, guys just want to go home. We're playing the Erie Seawolves, which are the Tigers affiliate.
Yeah.
And oh man, they all used the same bat. It was kind of funny. They just wanted to get out of there, and they were swinging at the first pitch. I got ambushed, and it was terrible. I think I went like 3 innings, gave up like 6, 7 runs. It was terrible. But mentally at that point, I was just so frustrated with, like I said, but I can't blame anybody but myself. Now, I'm very fortunate enough. The Orioles set me up to go play summer ball in Puerto Rico.
Oh, nice.
Doesn't get any better than that, So
Yeah.
once again, I got to, be thankful to the Orioles and stuff like that for putting me in that position. But I get to Puerto Rico once again. That those Puerto Rican and those winter leagues, those are no joke.
Yeah.
I was very fortunate to play with some guys who, I was in the same dugout with Pudge Rodriguez all the time.
Wow.
Alex Cora was one of the opposing coaches for Caguas. Some those big leaguers, Jonathan Albaladejo, Fernando Cabrera. These guys were all on my team.
Wow.
I was playing with Pudge's son, Derek Rodriguez. I mean, in the sense, playing in Puerto Rico made you seem like it was the show.
Yeah.
It was
Well,
like,
the talent.
wow.
People think that just because it's not Major League Baseball, that the talent is less.
Correct.
But some of those players are better than what we see in the majors today, man.
And there's no doubt. I couldn't agree with you more, my man. 100%.
And we see a lot of that with the baseball classic too. These teams, from different countries that are just even the Japan team. They be going in there.
Unbelievable. So when I played in Puerto Rico, there was 4 guys from Japan. And the way they approach this game of baseball is unbelievable. These guys throw every single day.
Yeah.
They throw every single – and it's funny because a lot of them are skinny, lanky, and it's just mind-blowing to me. My whole career, there was definitely off days. When I was a starter, there was always a mandated off day in between. Some days your arm's hanging, you got to give it a day. No, man, it's kind of, the routine and their, regimen, whatever it is. It was kind of mind-blowing. And like I said, intriguing. Once another pro of playing pro ball, being able to be exposed to other cultures and how they treat baseball. Okay, pretty sweet, pretty cool. But that, it was tough because I ended up getting released 6 weeks in, and I didn't have a bad career, but they quote unquote bought their reinforcements in, so they brought guys. So once again, shitty part of the business. And it was crazy because it was pretty. I mean, no hard feelings. I had 6 outings, give or take 5, 6. Once again, a relief spot, 2 innings here. I come in one time, I only came in for 1 out. You got to do what you got to do. They want to win. This is, once again, pretty much every game's a playoff game. It's professional baseball.
Exactly.
And to me, I was kind of upset because I wanted to get more opportunity. I wanted, mind you, I just got suspended. I didn't play much. I wanted to play, and I wasn't playing as much, which was kind of frustrating. And, like I said, I was there for a month and a half. And they already knew, and it was kind of, he's like, and there was about 8 of us, and they brought their reinforcements in, and it's Carlos Correa played a couple games to get into shape.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Took a spot. So it's just like, those big names, guys. And it's funny because Christian Vasquez was my catcher, which was unbelievable.
Wow, yeah.
Which was pretty awesome. He was my catcher. Okay, so, once that finished, I was kind of glad the season was over for me at that point because mentally I needed a refresher. I needed to, take a break off and get back on track mentally. And 2016 spring training comes around. kill it. I had a great spring training. I'm on pace to go back to AA. And you know what? I'm not mad at that point. For once in my life, I wasn't mad. And not that I was mad. I wouldn't say I was mad by any means, but kind of satisfied. Okay, I kind of felt like I was recognized.
Yeah.
So to speak. Okay, boom. Just got suspended. But then again, in the back of my mind, I said, my leash is, I got to go out there and perform, right?
Exactly. Yep.
That was my mindset. I'm just another product at any given point. Was it true? Maybe, maybe not. But that's what I kept feeding myself to kind of motivate me. You know what I mean? Someone else is going to take my spot. I better be ready. Came back, great spring training. First game of the season, first game of 2016. I'm the setup man, close game. Mind you, it was cold, real cold. The tough part about that, I warmed up 3 times throughout that game, 3 different times. I got hot, got warm. And people don't realize those aspects of,
yeah,
that's happening. You know what I mean? That's when they call your name, you got to be ready to go. And no problem. I get out there and I end up throwing one pitch, threw a curveball, and threw it behind the guy, and I knew it. I didn't want to say I heard a pop, but just sharp pain, and I ended up fully tearing my UCL, and that was pretty much, I don't want to keep talking about my story in that aspect, but that was pretty much the end of my career. I had a tough experience. I had to get 2 surgeries. I had a tough experience with my first, Tommy John. Once again, I wasn't a big prospect, so. Most people that, if you're a big prospect, you get Tommy John, where are you going? Dr. James Andrews.
Yeah.
Big time doc, right? Every team has their own doc. I wasn't a big, I ended up getting Tommy John, but I had the procedure done by the team doc. And at that point, let's get this done. At that, Tommy John today is a very common procedure. It's very similar to tearing your UCL. The whole reconstruction, elbows and knees are similar, that they're hinge joints.
Yeah.
So, I had all the faith in the doc. Long story short, the reconstruction went well. However, throughout the process of the surgery, my nerve was compressed at some point, and I woke up from surgery and I couldn't lift up my hand. Terrible. The doctor was nervous. Wow. So that was April 20th, 2016. April 20th, I got that surgery done. We were going to, once again, there was no damage to the nerve. The nerve was just compressed at some point throughout the ulnar nerve, the nerve that you have to move out of the way.
Yeah.
To actually, complete the surgery. So whatever he did in the process of moving that nerve and, doing my research, doctors all have their own different ways. Some will put it here, some won't move it. No one's wrong or right.
Yeah.
It's a personal preference. His procedure, his way of doing things, my body didn't react well to. So 3 months later, I had to get a second surgery, and I was very fortunate enough that the Orioles didn't give me a hard time after my agent recommended I go to Dr. Andrews. And I want to thank my agent, Brian Charles, for holding me down throughout the whole process.
Wow.
He was my biggest fan. And I ended up seeing Dr. Andrews to get my nerve decompression is what they called. And as soon as I woke up from that surgery, I had a little more strength instantly. And, Dr. Andrews hit me with some truth, and it kind of put some perspective on me. He said back in 2000, he performed 100 Tommy John surgeries a month. So that's 12,000 a year. Talk about a business, right? Dr. Andrews, unbelievable. I can go off on him for days. Great guy, unbelievable. Southern gentleman. He told me that he did 1,200 surgeries. Only 4 had the same symptoms that I had. Only 4 when he did it. And this is back in 2000. I got mine done 16 years later, and, it's kind of unfortunate. To this day, I still don't have the same strength in my hand as I do in my left hand. And mind you, I'm a righty. So this is my dominant hand. And it's just not the same, man. And that, like I said, once I got hurt, that was pretty much the end. I mean, I rehabbed for about 18 months. I didn't play the rest of 2016. I didn't play 2017. The start of 2018, I go through spring training, one outing. I performed 6 pitches, 5 or 6 pitches, all 92 miles an hour, all 91, 92. I forget what it was. Felt great. The next day I ended up getting released, badass, and I saw it coming in 2017. The the head minor league athletic trainer, him and I didn't really see eye to eye, because sometimes the business is not always looking out for what's in your best interest. They're looking out for their best interest. So the reason why they had me perform was to make sure, okay, he's capable, he's fine, surgery went well.
Yeah.
We're not liable for anything anymore. That's why they put you out there to perform, so you can't come back and say, So it's kind of a shitty situation, but very common, very common, and I knew it was going to happen. I didn't take it personal, but after I got released in 2018, I mean, I was just so mentally fed up. And it's funny, on my way home, I had gotten 3 calls from 3 independent ball teams, 3 indie ball teams, and I wasn't mentally in it, man. I was mentally checked out. I wasn't the same after the surgery. My off-speed stuff wasn't the same. My 2-seam, my split change. I would throw a split change. That's not friendly for the elbow,
Yeah.
so to speak. But I did throw a split change up, and it was my strikeout pitch. And it's funny because that was one of the pitches I learned in pro ball. That was never something I threw in college. I was really never a pitcher, so I kind of learned a lot throughout my career. And once 2017, when I was rehabbing, I just knew I wasn't the same. There was no pain, I just wasn't the same. And, sometimes as an athlete, you kind of set the standard for yourself because you know what you can do.
Exactly.
You know what you're capable of. So me being an athlete, I want to beat it. Every outing, every opportunity, okay, I can do this. Next time I want to do this and this and this. And, like I said, I felt good, and it wasn't terrible, but I wasn't as sharp, and I wasn't as – so to me, that was kind of a mental hurdle I had a hard time getting over, and once I kind of came to terms where I was never going to be the guy that I was, it was, it was tough for me to, but on that ride back, I kind of made that decision. When you're in the car driving back from Florida back home in 20 hours, you have a lot of thinking to do. And
it's a long time.
Oh yeah, it's a long time. And thinking back, but I'm glad. Like I said, I was very fortunate, especially from a kid coming from Lawrence. And it's funny how you brought up hope, right? And I'm glad that I'm getting the opportunity to, to vocalize and share my experience with other people, right? Because if you think about it, and I was thinking about it, and I said, wow, for 19 years of my life, I had zero hope that I would ever play any professional sport. Zero hope. No one from where we come from, Lawrence, Mass, really set the stage for us.
Yeah.
And we can't blame anybody for that, but you talk to more kids, and once again, very glad that baseball exposed me to being able to travel and meet other players. But one thing that I was able to come to terms with is that there's a lot of talent in our city, a lot of talent, but there's not a lot of hope. There's zero hope. There's no desire. I'll see the youth and some of these young kids and whatnot, and they don't know that they can make it. They don't know that they're good enough. And to me, that's a problem.
It is.
That kind of hits home. And I'm glad that you're giving me the platform for me to, so I can be able to tell kids, listen, I got cut 4 years from high school for whatever reason. It wasn't because of the lack of talent, but I never gave up. And, that's the message. I was so passionate about baseball at the time. And wow, I'm kind of getting a little emotional thinking about it, because I remember the first time I got cut, I cried. For the first time, I wasn't playing, and I went home and it happened year after year. And I went on and I played pro ball, and when nobody believed in me, I believed in me, and I want to just give that little leap, just a little slither of hope to anybody who's listening. You know what I mean? If you're that passionate about it, the only person that's going to stop you is yourself. And it's crazy for me to think that little kid from Lawrence would make it as far as I did. And granted, yeah, once I was in college, the reality, well, not at the time, kind of became realistic. There was some hope, right? It became a goal to play pro ball, right? And I'm a firm believer of having goals, but you got to have short goals in between.
Yeah.
And when, the short goals actually, when the reality of actually playing, having the opportunity to play ball, pro ball at that, that's motivation. That's hope. That's all the hope I needed. And I took advantage of every, ounce, every in my soul. And I'm very fortunate. Like I said, thinking back, it's crazy to believe that I did it, because had you asked me in 2018 or in 2008 that I would be where I am today, I'd laugh in your face. Because I said I had zero hope for 19 years of my life. I had zero hope. And I know a lot of kids going through it. When I, walk around or when I'm going to games, I can just see it. Not even just see it, parents talking about it. And that's what bothers me. Parents will say, that kid's not good enough. Or coaches, that kid's not good enough. What do you know about what's good enough?
Yeah.
And to me, that bothers me. What do you know about what's good enough? If you don't know, don't be saying that.
Yeah. And
it's all about, once again, perspective. Sorry to cut you off, but
no,
just
you're
perspective.
fine. And sometimes it's the heart too, man, because you can't measure heart. That's a huge thing. And
Marcus Stroman, baby.
Yeah, exactly.
Marcus Stroman,
man,
baby. Height doesn't measure heart, baby. Absolutely.
That's right.
One of the little guys overlooked, one of the best pitchers of our game.
Yeah.
You can't measure that.
Constantly
you know
doubted,
I mean?
man. You can't, and that's huge because the heart that you have and the passion that you have, like you've been saying, that takes you, that can take you further than your talent.
Once again, how we spoke earlier in life, I'm very fortunate enough that sports, once again, had instilled this in me. And these are some of the assets and skills that I can translate into my career path, or other aspects of life with my relationships with this, with that. But I got that from playing baseball, from playing sports, that desire, I got it in me.
Yeah.
That dog, that fire, that will, and I got to attest that to playing baseball, so I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I wish I would have.
Thank you.
Honest to God, I wish I had that passion and that heart that you had, because our stories are actually similar at the high school level. Because I played high school ball in New York.
Okay.
And my freshman year, actually, the season got canceled, but I ended up playing sophomore year, and then I actually moved here to Lawrence my junior year. Okay. And, I went through a little bit of a rough stretch, moving from New York, losing my friends, all that stuff. That's kind of where baseball left me a little bit there. And I didn't make the team. I didn't make the cut junior year. And that's kind of where my journey ended with baseball.
Yeah.
But just kind of hearing your story brought me back thinking, man, if I had a little more passion, a little more heart to kind of keep chasing that dream, maybe I would have, done something with it. But, all in God's plan, as they say,
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with that.
A new path was created, and here I am giving you the opportunity to share your story to hopefully motivate somebody else. So this is awesome that you were able to do this, man.
Absolutely. Like, once again, that platform that you're giving me, that's, is the best thing that comes out of today, in my opinion. I'm hoping that someone will it hits home. Someone will get the message, that's, all they need to hear is, oh, this guy did it. Okay, if he did it, I can do it. And I'm sure, like I said, I paved my path hoping that someone's going to come behind me and keep paving it, or pave their own and be better, be stronger. You know what I mean? I want to give people hope that they can do it. If you do that to someone at a young age, as opposed to doing it later on in their life, in my opinion, I'm a firm believer that it's going to have a drastic change on that kid's life. You know what I mean? Huge life. Okay. Even if it's just my dad believes in me, my mom, my sister, my brother, they believe in me. All someone needs is a little bit of confidence, a little bit of hope.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that today, using this platform, I can be that hope for anybody that's listening.
Definitely, man. I wish we would have left this for last, man, because now the next stuff we're going to talk about isn't even as fun. Man, that was good stuff.
We'll keep talking. I'm with it.
Man. But let's get into, not to take away from anything you just said, but let's get into the what's going on with the playoffs this year.
Let's do it.
So I don't know what the score is right now with Houston and Tampa, but last I checked, I think Houston was up 3-2.
It's funny because I had it on behind me on my computer, and Let me see what they they got. But so I mean, first and foremost, not just with baseball, shitty, pardon my French, situation with everything going on, um, and the people affected by it, right? We're talking no minor leagues.
Yeah.
Kids who, I was in their shoes, fighting for an opportunity, working out, busting your butt, getting after it. Some of these guys aren't getting that opportunity to showcase their talent, which it's one thing, and to be honest, I haven't really been hip with, what they got going on with the alternate site. And, now they expanded the rosters to have 30 and have, the remaining 30, 60 total you can have at the site or whatever the cases may be. But right, think about those kids, those guys on the verge, those minor leaguers that are going to be at these alternate sites are your big time investments.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Chances are a guy like me probably would have got the shit end of the stick again, and I'd be home hanging out while some of my boys who I know I'm better than, who I know I can compete with, are getting the opportunity just because he's, the bonus baby, so terrible situation. And like I said, my heart goes out to those players, those, young children. Like I said, this is baseball or sports on every level. We're talking
Oh yeah.
high school, college. Think about, some of these kids who are getting ready for the draft. Mind you, only 5 rounds to the draft.
I know. That's a huge loss, man, because there's so
From
much
40 to
talent.
5?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
people don't realize that, but that's a lot of opportunities that are being shafted because of this, pandemic. And it's sad. I hate talking about it. And like I said, I haven't really been hip exactly. I've been keeping track a little bit, but to be honest, I don't know how it's tough for me as a Yankee fan saying this, but I'm pulling for the Rays.
Yeah.
I'm pulling for the Rays.
I don't want to see Houston win, to be 100% honest. I'm surprised they made it this far considering the season they had, because they were under 500 all season.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised. I actually had them losing to the Twins in the first round, but Twins disappointed.
To
And
kind of counter that, you might not agree, and a lot of fans don't. I mean, this whole cheating scandal with the Astros, and that's part of baseball. And I hate to say it, but playing Division I baseball, right? If you're not on the field, you're trying to steal the team signs.
yeah.
Like it's a fact. It's a known fact. You're in the dugout when you're not pitching, looking at the first, third base coach and you're with your players and your boys trying to pick off their signs. Like, this is something that's been embedded in baseball at the earliest level, right? And once again, right, even if you know what's coming, you still gotta hit it.
Yeah.
And who knows that you've broken their code, so to speak, and you're guessing correctly. You know what I mean? So for a lot of fans who've never played baseball and so adamant about it, I mean, you still got to go out there and perform, right? If we're talking football, right, and I told you what play's coming, and I still run the ball down your throat, what are you gonna say? But what happens if you stop us and I told you, oh, but you knew it was coming?
Yeah.
So it's tough for me to kind of take that stance on it. And you know what? To be honest, I played against George Springer, big George Springer fan, and he was getting a lot of heat for it. I'm a big Carlos Correa fan. Soy puertorriqueño. Like I said, I got to hang out with him in the Puerto Rican League. Like, I'm a big fan of Carlos Correa. So they were getting a lot of heat for it. But those that really know baseball know that that's part of the game. And the fact that, maybe they were using technology, so to speak. And if they were, like I said, they still got to go perform on the field.
Yeah, I think
I can tell you a fastball's coming. You still got to hit it.
Yeah, I think that's what bothered a lot of people is the whole technology and all that stuff.
I get it. And like I said, I get it.
Because definitely sign stealing has been around since the beginning of baseball.
Oh, yeah. It's part of the game. It's been embedded in its roots,
Yeah, definitely. But, yeah, I still want the Rays to win, though. I hope the Rays take care of that. They're a team that, and I know it sucks to talk about it because Yankee fan here, but they're a team that's super fundamentally sound in every single aspect of the game. And they
I'm
don't have
glad you
any
said that.
superstars on their team. And people, there's no stars on their team. It's a bunch of guys who are just good. They're just good at certain things. And like you said, they play to their strengths, which is something
And I'm going to tell you why. Because Tampa Bay, in my opinion, is probably a top 3 organization in player development.
Yep, from top to
Right?
bottom.
Unbelievable. We would play them, right? Coming from an organization with the Orioles, there wasn't much structure. You got a lot of free will. For guys like me who were motivated, knew what I had to do, I thrived. But for a lot of kids who didn't know what they were doing coming out of high school, big fish, small pond, now making the adjustment, some of those guys needed structure. The Orioles, in my opinion, didn't do a good job giving structure, pros and cons. But the Rays, on the other hand, right, I saw their player development. And the tough part about the Rays, people don't realize, right, they breed all this talent. The talent through their system, year in, year out, you look at their minor league statistics, their AA and AAA team are the best teams in the league.
Yeah.
Hands down, they're always in the mix, But what happens is being in a first of all, toughest division in baseball, in my opinion.
I believe so. Yep.
AL East, let's be realistic.
100%.
Right? And comparing a market like Tampa to a market probably one of the biggest in our country, New York, Boston, these are big markets they have to compete with from a financial standpoint. It blows my mind that Tampa's competing with these other teams because from a financial standpoint,
not even close. Yeah.
It's not even close in the amount of money they spend and they can afford to spend, right? They breed all these great players and this great talent. And what happens once they hit the market? The Tampa Bays can't afford to keep them. I mean, the list goes on. Their pitching prospects, in my opinion, are unbelievable. Chris Archer, David Price at their time. You know what I mean? These are just the high-profile guys. There's plenty of guys under the radar who are just as good that don't get all the limelight. But Tampa Bay does a phenomenal. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised they are where they are.
At their pitching staff now. Their bullpen is a bunch of guys that nobody knows, but they're out there throwing shutouts consistently.
Taking care of business.
Exactly.
Taking care of business. And like
that's
I said,
huge, man.
The business aspect, another sad reality of business.
Yeah, and onto that, what about the National League?
What about it?
With the Braves and the Dodgers.
People don't realize, right? Once again, the better team doesn't always win in baseball.
That's true.
I think the Yankees are living proof of that. Yep. On paper, the Yankees are top 2, top 3, hands down. But once again, people all this money and they can't win. It's not because they're failing. It's because people don't realize that's the game sometimes. You know what I mean? They're playing against some good ball guys, who are hot. And the fact that we're getting such a small sample size this year in terms of games as, opposed to a full season, it's whoever's hot right now, right? And you look at the Braves, they're having fun.
Yeah.
Ronald Acuna, he was big. When I kind of fell off, he was the biggie coming up in the minors. He was their guy. He was like the number 1 minor league ball player. Seeing him play, and him and Fernando Tatis with the Padres, those were the 2 young bucks in them. They were all over the magazines. They were the puppets. And just seeing them have fun brings me back to, why I play baseball. You know what I mean? They're having fun. Same with the Dodgers. You know what I'm saying? The Dodgers are cruising. What did they put up 14, 15 points a couple days ago? I was just like, sheesh.
I think it was 11 in the first inning. Yeah.
So, I mean, I really have no preference in the NL, but I'm rooting for the Rays. Like I said, I'm a big fan of their organization. They got a young, I forget his name. I just was watching a little bit of it at work, and they got a young cat on their team. Real good guy. I mean, I was looking at his stats in his last couple games, minor league, and he's killing it. So, I mean, it's cool to see that. It's cool to see that. And like I said, the Rays do all the right things behind the scenes. So it's kind of good to see the underdog, come out and shock the world, so to speak. And it's tough because think about it. They did the same in 2009. Who did they lose to? Or did they beat? They beat the Phillies? No,
they lost to the Phillies. That was in not 2009, right? 2008. 2008.
No, Yankees won in '08, didn't they? The first year?
No,
No,
flip flop.
Yankees won in '09. Yankees
Oh,
won in '09.
nine,
You're
yeah.
right. You're right. You're right. You're right. So yeah, I mean, think about, a lot of those guys that make it there, once they get that fame and they can't afford to keep them and they have to go
Yeah.
back to step one, and you know what? They do a phenomenal job with it. I guess they understand that aspect very well, and they're doing a phenomenal job. They've kind of mastered that player development.
Yeah,
So
and
I got to
that's
give
huge,
them a lot of credit,
man,
and I'm pulling
because
for them.
that's why a team like that, man, they're, and the Rays, I don't think they get the respect, like you're saying. They don't get the respect that a New York or a Boston when they're playing good, or even Toronto. I don't think the Rays get that respect. And, year after year, they're winning 80 plus games, 85, 90 games, and they're
Yeah.
just missing the playoffs or something like that. But like you said, they have this major league talent. They can't afford them, and then they bring someone right up to replace them, and it's just a constant, a constant
Clockwork.
motion of great talent coming through that organization, man. So
And if you were to go to their spring training complex and just walk around any other, you would kind of understand what I'm saying when they're like, they
yeah,
run a tight ship. Everything's well structured from head to toe. And I've spoken, I mean, think about it. When I was with the O's, we were in Sarasota. So we were right up the street from Port Charlotte, and we would play them, so we would talk. Think about it. That's another good thing about baseball. Even your opposing teams, you would, kick it with and talk and stuff like that. They would tell us, man, they were a little on the stricter side.
yeah.
But like I said, I'm sure a lot of guys that were with us, a lot of high school guys would have benefited from a system and some structure. So like I said, I'm pulling for them.
Yeah,
They'll be fine.
I'm with you. I think the Rays. I want the Rays to win it all at this point.
Okay.
So
Me
I'm
too.
with you there.
Me too.
I'll write that down. I'll get back
The
to you.
underdog, baby. All about the underdog. I'm loving them.
Man. So I don't know about you, man, but I had fun today.
I just want to say once again, I mean, I had a blast. Anytime I get a chance to speak about sports, baseball especially, and then I got a chance to go off on a tangent about my life, it was great. But like I said, I'm very thankful that I was able to have a platform to hopefully spread some hope. Hopefully I can be, a little spark to somebody's fire, and
Yeah, your story is definitely a big
Thank
inspiration,
you.
man, and I'm
Thank you.
definitely happy to be able to share this with everybody who's willing to listen, man. So
Thank you, Rob. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being here with me tonight, man. I appreciate it, and hopefully we'll catch up again at some point.
Absolutely, I'd be more than happy to. Rob. Take care. Until then,
all right,
take
man.
it easy.
Take it easy. Thank you, everybody, for watching, man.